At family brunch, my daughter was told she'd have to eat in the garage. There's no space at the table, my brother said, but I saw 4 empty seats reserved for his friends. I took my daughter's hand and we left. After 17 hours, I cut them off from the joint account and then, it was just really ugly. The kind of ugly that makes you feel embarrassed for people you're supposed to be related to. I still don't know if it was more humiliating for me or for Lucy. All I know is I've never looked at my family the same way since. Brunch was at my brother's house like it had been the past few years. He makes a big show of it. Perfect table settings, imported flowers, champagne flutes lined up like soldiers. It's not about family, it's about showing off. But I still went. I brought Lucy and she was so excited. She made these little hand-painted eggs for everyone, tucked neatly into a basket. She even rehearsed what she was going to say when she gave them out. We got there early. She had on the yellow dress my mom mailed her, and I swear she looked like she walked out of a storybook. We walked in, said hi, and I noticed the place looked even more staged than usual. The table was already set, plates gleaming under the chandelier. I went to ask where we should sit and my brother didn't even let me finish. He said there wasn't room at the table, that we could eat in the garage. I thought he was joking, but he didn't crack a smile. I looked over at the table and saw 4 empty chairs with little name cards. Jake, Ryan, Mel, and Trent. His buddies. Not family. Not kids. Just his drinking buddies from his rugby league. None of them were even there yet. I told him there were empty seats. He shrugged and walked off like it was out of his hands. So I took Lucy to the garage. There was a folding table next to the recycling bins and 2 metal chairs. No napkins, no cups, no silverware. Just a stack of paper plates and a serving tray with cold quiche. Lucy asked if we'd done something wrong. She's 8. She doesn't ask questions like that unless she feels something's deeply off. I didn't say anything. I just picked up her basket, took her hand, and we walked straight back out. No scene. No goodbyes. We got in the car and she cried the whole way home. I didn't say a word. 17 hours later, I opened our joint account, the one tied to the family trust. I moved my half into a private fund, changed the access permissions, and locked him out of every shared asset we had. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't need to. He texted me that night. Said he didn't know what came over him. That the seats had just been for the guys and it was all a misunderstanding. Said we should talk. But I was already making a list of everything else I was going to take back. Once something cracks like that, it doesn't go back to the way it was. You start seeing all the other fractures that had always been there. Things you ignored. Things you made excuses for. But once you let yourself really look, it's all you can see. I didn't stop at the joint account. That was just step 1. The next morning, while Lucy was still sleeping, I made coffee, sat at the dining table, and started listing everything I shared with my brother, financial, legal, or otherwise. I had forgotten how much there was. The rental property we bought together 10 years ago. The brokerage accounts our father set up for us. The tax shelters. The lake house in Vermont. Even the landscaping business he technically ran, but I quietly funded when it almost collapsed during COVID. I sent emails. Made phone calls. Asked for meetings. All of it under the radar. Calm, efficient, surgical. The kind of quiet people don't notice until it's too late. By Monday, I had pulled my name off the lease agreement for the property and sent over paperwork for the profit split buyout. Our lawyer, Jeremy, looked confused but professional. He said he'd loop my brother in soon. I told him to wait until the check cleared. I wanted clean lines and 0 loopholes. By Tuesday, the financial advisor we both used was on a video call with me, looking visibly uncomfortable. He asked if I wanted to schedule a joint meeting to talk things through. I said no. That's when the calls started. My brother, his wife, my mother. They were all circling the same drain, asking if I could explain what was happening, what they did wrong, why I was reacting this way. As if Lucy eating next to an oil can wasn't reason enough. By Wednesday, I got a knock on my door. A delivery guy holding a vase full of peonies. My favorite. I opened the card before I even brought them inside. I screwed up. Please let me make it right. You and Lucy mean everything. There was a version of me maybe 2 years ago who would have cried reading that. Who would have taken a deep breath and called him back and told him it was okay. That version of me died in the garage. I waited a few hours before texting him back. Said I appreciated the flowers. That I just needed space to cool down. That I wasn't going to do anything drastic. He responded within 3 minutes. Called me twice. Sent a voice message I didn't even open. The next morning, while he probably sat sipping coffee feeling like things were smoothing over, I met with a separate attorney. A specialist in asset reallocation and internal audits for private family businesses. I gave her a full rundown and told her I wanted to cleanly extract myself from everything that had his name on it. We got to work that afternoon. I let him think he was getting somewhere. I told him I was thinking things over. He sent a thumbs up emoji and said he was really glad we were on the same page. He had no idea what page I was actually on. And by the time he figured it out, it would already be signed, sealed, and delivered. By the following week, things had quieted down. At least on the surface. My brother stopped calling. The text slowed to a trickle. I knew what that meant. He thought the storm had passed, that I'd gotten it out of my system and would be back to playing the dutiful sister who always kept the business running behind the scenes. He had no idea I'd already signed the withdrawal papers for the Vermont house. The trust my dad left for both of us, one of the only things that actually mattered long-term, was being restructured, and I was pushing through an audit to prove he'd been skimming more than he reported. Nothing illegal. Just lazy. Dialed. Like brunch chairs were more valuable than blood. I got an email from his assistant on Thursday asking if I could still make our quarterly meeting for the landscaping business. Said he'd penciled it in at the usual cafe. That's when it hit me, he really believed nothing had changed. Or maybe he was testing me. I showed up just to see how far he'd go with it. He was already sitting there when I arrived, 2 coffees on the table. He smiled like none of it had happened. Told me I looked tired. Said he missed Lucy and asked how she was doing, if she was still painting her little eggs. I just nodded. Then he launched into numbers. Revenue forecasts. Spring promotions. I listened. I didn't interrupt. I let him talk himself into a false sense of security. He thought I was being quiet because I was forgiving. I was being quiet because I wanted him to keep going. Toward the end, he leaned in and said he was glad we talked. That he'd been thinking a lot about family lately. That he wanted things to go back to normal. I told him that sounded nice. I even smiled. He paid the check and walked me to my car. Said we should have a cookout soon, just us and the kids. That night, I forwarded the full audit report to our lawyer. I flagged 3 sections for concern: unreported cash transactions, irregular payroll entries, and a pattern of using the business card for what looked like personal dinners. 2 days later, I canceled the landscaping company's automatic payments from the business credit account I controlled. The ones that paid for fertilizer, mower maintenance, and payroll. The ones he assumed would just keep running. He called that same afternoon. Voicemail. Hey Jess, I think something's up with the account. We're showing some flags on the vendor portal. Can you check when you get a sec? That was the echo I'd been waiting for. Confusion. The first ripple of panic. I never called back. I just opened the spreadsheet labeled final separation and ticked off one more box. He still didn't know he was on borrowed time. By Monday, the silence started to stretch. He must have noticed the vendors weren't being paid, but maybe he assumed it was just a glitch. I didn't care what he assumed. I was working on something bigger, something I hadn't told anyone about. 3 years ago, my brother begged me to co-sign a line of credit so he could buy a second commercial mower and a company truck. He didn't qualify on his own. I agreed because back then I still believed in him. That loan was tied to my name, my credit, and my reputation. But what he didn't know was that I had recently refinanced it. Quietly, legally, fully. It was now in his name alone. And he was behind on payments. The bank sent a letter addressed to both of us, but by the time he opened his, I'd already spoken to the collections department and clarified everything. He was now the sole guarantor of a loan teetering on default. I made sure the letter didn't come by email. It arrived by courier. Hand-delivered at his office, stamped in red. That same afternoon he showed up at my house. I didn't answer the door. He stood there for over 5 minutes. I watched from the upstairs window as he paced, checked his phone, knocked again. Then he slid something under the door. It was a card. A real one this time, not an apology scribbled on flower shop stationery. It had Lucy's name on it. Inside was a $50 gift card to an art supply store and a note. Tell her I'm sorry. I was an idiot. I just want to fix things. Please. It could have almost worked. Almost. But that evening, Lucy asked me why we hadn't gone back to Uncle Matt's house. I told her the truth in the simplest way I could. Some people think they can treat others badly and then use gifts to cover it up. She didn't say anything for a while. Then she went to her room and painted a little sign. It said, "You don't need a table. You need manners." I didn't show it to him. I kept it on the fridge. The next unexpected piece fell into place a few days later. My cousin Danielle called. She was on the board of a small community foundation that provided grants to local businesses, mostly for eco projects and community landscaping. She said she had just received a panicked email from Matt. He was trying to secure emergency funding because a key investor had suddenly pulled out and payroll was about to bounce. She didn't know that investor was me. She said it seemed out of character. That Matt had been boasting about growth just last month. She asked if I thought he was okay. I told her he was fine. What I didn't tell her was that I'd also submitted a tip to the foundation's ethics board, anonymously, about how he'd been redirecting funds meant for community gardens to upgrade equipment at private residences. I didn't expect them to act on it. But the next morning I got a text from Danielle. "You were right. It's all unraveling." By the time he realized what was happening, it was already too late to stop any of it. The grant committee froze his pending application, citing concerns over inconsistent documentation. That was the official term. The real problem was that I'd included screenshots of invoices and photos of private landscaping jobs with timestamps that matched dates he'd billed the foundation for public beautification. He called my mom in a panic, said someone was out to get him, that he was being sabotaged. She called me 3 times that day, left voicemails saying I needed to let go of whatever grudge I was holding. I didn't answer. She didn't know the half of it. That weekend, Matt's wife showed up at my door. She was holding a gift bag. Inside was a baby blue envelope with a note that said, "We miss you. Let's start over." And then, underneath that, in a different handwriting, a single sentence: "Lucy deserves her family back." I almost laughed. They really thought Lucy was the weakness. She was the reason I'd held my tongue for so long. But now she was the reason I wasn't going to stop. I told her I'd think about it. I thanked her for coming. I even gave her a hug goodbye. She left looking relieved. The next day, I called the insurance company that handled the general liability policy for the landscaping business. Told them I was a former partner who'd like to review any claims filed in the last fiscal year. It took 2 phone calls, but I got the documents. There were 4 small claims for property damage, all settled quickly. Nothing major until I looked closer. 2 of the signatures on those settlements were forged. I recognized the handwriting immediately. I'd seen it on birthday cards my brother wrote when we were kids. He'd been faking sign-offs to avoid hikes in the premium. I packaged it all up. The claims, the grant misuse, the restructuring documents. I sent it all to our attorney with a short message. Make it official. Full withdrawal. No mediation. That same evening, Lucy handed me her latest painting. It was a simple scene, a table in a field, every seat full. And in the corner, a figure walking away with a child holding a basket. She said it was us. I asked where we were going. She said somewhere nicer. I didn't reply. I just folded the painting, slipped it into an envelope and mailed it to my brother with no return address. Just one sentence written on the back. There was always room. He just chose not to see it. I knew the exact moment it all collapsed. My phone buzzed with a string of notifications, 3 missed calls, a dozen texts, and a voicemail so long it got cut off halfway through. Then silence. Not just the kind that comes from someone giving up, but the kind that feels like a building right after it's been condemned. That morning, the final documents went through. The business bank froze the primary account pending internal restructuring. Payroll bounced. Equipment rentals flagged for non-payment. One of the trucks, the new one he got through the loan I refinanced behind his back, got repossessed from the office parking lot in front of 2 clients. He tried to log into our brokerage account. He was locked out. He tried to access the shared documents for the real estate partnerships. Locked out. Even the shared Dropbox folder he used for contracts and invoices. Gone. I received one last email from him. No greeting. No punctuation. "What are you doing, Jess? You're killing everything." I didn't reply. 2 days later, he showed up at Lucy's school. He wasn't allowed inside, but he waited out front. Lucy didn't see him, thank God. One of the other parents called me, said some guy had been standing by the fence asking if they'd seen his niece. I called the school. They filed a report and flagged his name. The next morning, I had a temporary no-contact order filed with the help of my attorney. It included Lucy. That was when he finally stopped trying to fix things. He started trying to survive. He reached out to mutual friends trying to build a new narrative. Said I was unstable. That I'd blown up the family over a seating arrangement. One friend forwarded me the messages, including the part where he asked if there was any way to get Lucy to talk to him again. I forwarded them to my attorney. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't even hurt. What I felt was colder than that, like I was just sweeping up the last pieces of a mess I didn't make. Weeks passed. The business collapsed. The bank called in the rest of the loan. My brother's personal credit was shot. His wife left him, took their daughter and moved in with her sister in Pennsylvania. My mom finally stopped calling. Lucy painted another sign for the fridge. Said some doors stay closed for a reason. And just like that, I realized we were free. It didn't feel like revenge. It felt like the truth finally did what it was supposed to do. Cleared the room and locked the door behind it. It's been a week since the dust settled, and just when I thought it was over, something unexpected hit. A final blow none of us saw coming. I was in the kitchen packing Lucy's lunch for the first day of summer camp, when my phone pinged. Not a call. An unfamiliar number. Texted map coordinates. A delivery point 2 miles from our house. Curious and cautious, I drove over, Lucy riding with me, skipping songs on the radio until the map dropped us at a small storage facility on the edge of town. The kind with the sliding metal doors and dusty rows. I rented a unit for a day. Inside, under a tarp, were 2 things. The old love seat I'd given him years ago and our childhood photo albums. Torn and half-soaked. Pages ripped out, coffee-stained, edges singed. A message scratched into the wood of the love seat arm. She'd never sit on our bench. Lucy looked at me confused. I hugged her tight and told her it was time to leave. I didn't stick around to see if anyone followed. Back home, I called our lawyer. This time it wasn't about finances. It was trespass, property damage, emotional harassment. She filed another restraining order, this one specific to intentional emotional harm. Copies went to the sheriff, the local school, and the storage facility. Meanwhile, Lucy took the love seat cushion outside and stapled a canvas over it. With fabric paint she wrote, "Some old things don't belong in our story." Then she painted daisies around it. She brought me the cushion and the canvas and said, "Can we leave the love seat there? But with our sign." I nodded. We drove back to the storage place, rented the space for another month, and placed the cushion on the love seat inside. I emailed the facility rules, reserved. That night I slept better than I have in months. Because I knew, no matter what he tried, he couldn't reach us anymore. Lucy is smiling again. Painting again. I signed her up for community art classes she's been begging to join. And every time I step back and watch her, I remember why I did it. Not for revenge, but for her. And for us. This story isn't about winning. It's about closing off the parts of life that hurt you and walking away with the rest.